Guys, I'm back at y'all with another video. I'm going to be going over Francis Ngannou, and the topic of this one, as you can guess, is he overrated, or is he underrated, or does he set the bar that the UFC and the media has set for him? Just to give y'all a gist, if you guys are new to who he is, and if you're just new to the UFC MMA in general, Francis Ngannou is the #1 contender for the UFC Heavyweight World Championship. He was the favorite when he first lost to Stipe, and he is currently the favorite to become the champion and to dethrone Stipe and to become the new Heavyweight World Champion of the UFC. The man is 6'4", 260 pounds. He has an 83-inch reach advantage. He's been fighting since 2013 now. Out of 18 pro MMA fights, he's 15-3, 3 losses coming by decision, and 11 of his 15 wins by knockout. So that alone lets you know he's a knockout artist. He has the world record for the strongest punch. He has huge knockout power. He can hit you with an uppercut, knocked out. Overhand, you're going to sleep. Across, you're going to sleep. Spinning back fist, you're going to sleep. You get the gist. He is decent to good boxing, no real wrestling, in my opinion. Although you could attribute his decent to good takedown defense to the fact that he's a gargantuan of a man. He is absolutely huge, tall, long, and he is heavy. I'm pretty sure 260 pounds is the absolute limit of what the UFC will allow as a heavyweight. So he's at the tippy top of the tippy top when it comes to weight and height. On the ground, he's all right. His ground game is suspicious, to say the least. Like once he's actually on his back, he's suspicious. He doesn't really seem to have any judo. If you look at like his hand and wrist control, there doesn't seem to be any real technique. He just seems to try to just get the person off of him. He doesn't try to do any like wrist locks or any. He doesn't have any BJJ in his arsenal. His cardio is very suspicious. He has some kicks, if I'm not mistaken. He likes to use a left kick to the side, to the oblique, to the thigh area. But he doesn't throw any teeps. Obviously a man of his size, he's not gonna be throwing any spinning back kicks or anything. No question mark kicks or anything like that. So his kicks are more or less non-existent, besides when he gets in close and he just wants to get some space. Sometimes he'll throw a kick to the abdomen or something. But to be honest, if we're really keeping it a buck, his kicks are non-existent. He has some elbows when he gets into the clinch. Not really. What he'll try to do is he'll try to push the person away and obviously just punch them and break their face in. But he doesn't really throw like any spinning elbows. Like I said, you could attribute this to his mass. He's just heavy, and it would kill his already suspicious cardio, which I'm about to get to later on in the video. But his elbows, they're there, but it's nothing noteworthy. He does not really have any. He's not really a southpaw boxer. He doesn't really have a southpaw stance that he can rely on. He's mainly an orthodox boxer when it comes to fighting, and you never really see him switch southpaw. And when he does, that's typically when he starts to get lit up a little bit, and he'll quickly go back to his orthodox position. However, like I was saying with his cardio is extremely suspicious, and you can attribute this almost wholeheartedly to the fact that he is the absolute limit of the weight that the UFC will allow at 264 pounds. And to give you guys a perspective, Jon Jones is the same height as him. And obviously we know Jon Jones fights at 205 pounds, and we obviously see how he's arguably the GOAT and what absolute monster of a man that Jon Jones is. So you could argue that Francis Ngannou's takedown defense is to his size. His lack of technique is just due to his overwhelming size, that he just can't do too much or so gassed out. And not necessarily saying that you can't obviously weigh a lot and still have good cardio, because obviously we see plenty of guys who do. But obviously his cardio doesn't seem to be one of his strong points or his focal points, as that's been seen in all of his losses, and especially with his recent most famous loss to Stipe Miocic, the heavyweight world champion. Now, in my opinion, is he overrated? That they're saying that, he's a predator. Should he be favored over the champion? No. Should he obviously be the draw and favorite to win most of his fights? Yes. Why? Because he has knockout power in both of his hands. He can touch you with his right or his left, and you will go to sleep. He is, in my opinion, more dangerous than Deontay Wilder, which is known as a quote-unquote great eraser of boxing, because Deontay really just has a strong overhand right. Francis, like I said earlier, he hits you any which way, you are going to sleep. The man is a beast. The man is living up to the hype. So is he overrated? After all of that, I have to say he is not overrated. Francis Ngannou is not overrated. Why I say also, in addition to that, why he's not overrated is because, look, even though his cardio being suspect is a huge problem, especially at that division, you always have to realize that light heavyweight and especially the heavyweight division are so shallow. There's really no one else to talk about besides, or maybe a Derek Lewis who could pose a problem to him. But for all being honest, there's a reason why Stipe is the only real person to give him any serious problems. Even though I don't see Francis Ngannou ever beating Stipe Miocic, even with his huge knockout power, because I feel like he just lacks so many different things. He has no real takedown defense. He has no real skill outside of his boxing. He doesn't have enough tools. He doesn't have enough weapons, in the fortress tools and the tool shed to, get past the Stipe Miocic, in my opinion, if Stipe stays on his game. Besides maybe a lucky punch that rocks him, that chips his chin, and we know how the rest goes. But for being honest, that's my opinion. However, if the champion of your division, who also happens to be the greatest of all time in your division, is the only person who you can't get past, that does not make you overrated. Y'all gotta remember, this is not boxing. Just because you lose doesn't mean you're not nice, doesn't mean you're not elite. Just because you can't beat a certain person does not mean you are not elite. Look at Jose Aldo. Obviously the GOAT, obviously one of the GOATs for 145, if not arguably the GOAT for 145. He's gotten beat before, but he's still one of the most elite to ever do it. GSP is commonly referred to as a GOAT. He's been beat before, if we're being honest. Come on now. Well, he's been beat before, that's a fact. But anyway, Francis Ngannou is not overrated. He lives up to the hype. He's a man's man. He would be, if you had to drop a heavyweight champion, the champion of a heavyweight division in combat sport, it would be Francis Ngannou. That's what you would look like. An alpha male, big, strong, imposing, hardly speak English for real. But y'all get the gist. Like, the man is a monster. He's not overrated. He lives up to the hype. Francis Ngannou is valid. He gets a stamp of approval. The guy is a beast.